So Ishavasya Upanishad, we are now doing we have looked at the third mantra, and so in this, the three paths were illustrated, the three different paths, which is known, which is available for everyone to go. So in life and in the spiritual life. So these three paths which we looked at, the Nivritti Marga, Pravritti Marga, and then the Samsaric Marga. So these three paths are the predominant paths. Of this, two are the Vedic paths, meaning the paths that the Vedas have given. So the first mantra we looked at was starting to describe as Nivritti path, through which one realizes one's true nature and leads to moksha. Then the ones who are who are already bound, who have other duties, who have other things, for them, what is it? They still can get to realization, but according to Vedas, they have to also fulfill the pravritti path, the dharmic path, walk the way of the dharma. So then the question is not so much that whether that person who is on that pravritti path is actually required to follow only some rules and not other rules. That path of that essential knowing of oneness is where that dharma is, that dharma is one's own true nature, with that is the closest to one's own true nature. So the everything in the world, when we are walking that path of dharma, then we come close to one's true nature. So that is why the dharma is considered, of all the purusharthas, the most helpful purushartha in for life. And so it is not like one needs to ensure that everywhere that dharma, the virtue is protected. They themselves get protected. That is a common saying, dharma rakshati rakshataha. So the one who tries to protect that dharma is himself protected. So this is a very common saying. We are not doing dharma for something, to get some special thing. In order to realize our true nature, we have to follow the path of dharma. So that was given, and that is why it was said, when you follow that, then there is no bonds of karma that will taint us. Then we are not trapped in that bonds of karma. So when we are not trapped in the bonds of karma, then we are free, to explore any path. So the topic very commonly asked about free will and fate. So this is where, for somebody who is bound with a lot of karmic things, there is very little free will. So this is the Vedic thing, that free will is not available to a person who has a whole lot of karmic bondage. And so even when they come to the spiritual path, a lot of obstacles come their way. So then they have to walk the path of dharma, do the upasanas of some kind, different paths like doing karma yoga, seva, bhakti, all that will help us. But now that is all not still the jnana marga's path. What is the reason why we have to even do dharma? Gets a greater impetus when we realize that the jnana marga, that path of knowledge, which is a nivritti marga. So now, having pointed out that defect of samsaric thing in the third mantra, fourth mantra onwards, he's going to come back and explain to us that nature of that Atma. So because it was mentioned in the third mantra that the one who is on a normal life pattern, driven by desires, society conditioning, and our own kind of patterns, inclinations, that person is killing oneself. So now we might wonder, like, okay, what does it mean by killing oneself? And there, of course, we know from Shankaracharya, he says that killing oneself is not literal killing, but that when one neglects oneself, one's true nature, then it is almost like that person is killing oneself, meaning his life is a very compromised life. So most people live such a kind of compromised kind of life, meaning they don't realize their real nature, and so everything in life causes them stress, anxiety, worries, fear, anger, all the clashes, all that emotions. So the one who realizes the true nature, one's own true essential beingness, awareness, they are the ones who move on to the path of to really living life. As it was mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also, that which is like day to all the people is night to the yogis, and that which is night to everyone is like day, meaning that they are like they are not sleeping like others. They are awake in their true essence of being. So that is the now is going to be illustrated in the next few mantras. So now let us look at the mantras. So Girida, if you can project from the third mantra onwards, we will repeat that third mantra. And then from then on, the next two mantras, we will look at it. The next two mantras, the fourth and fifth mantras, are quite similar. They are going to talk about the nature of Atma. Okay, so let us repeat the third mantra, and then we will do the next one. Asurya namate loka sandhena tamasavrataha agum ste pratyabhigachanti ye kechatmahano janaha anejadekam manaso javiyo Naina deva apnuvan purvamarshata tadhavatonya tishtat tasminnapo matarishva dadhati tadhejati tannejati tadhure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya Tadu sarvasyasya bhavyataha. So it's actually good to read if you all can, because that leaves a certain impression on us, and the words when we look at it, it will help. Okay, so now the fourth mantra is like going to talk about Atma. So like what was mentioned here. So before I do the word by word, maybe somebody can just read out the meaning in English. No?
I can. It is unmoving, one and faster than the mind. The senses could not overtake it since it ran ahead. Remaining stationary, it outruns all other runners. It being there, Matarishwa allots or supports all activities.
Next one also someone can read the fifth one.
read it.
Rashmi, please.
That moves, that does not move, that is far off, that is very near, that is inside all, and that is outside all.
So now if you look at it, this kind of is like these words, these are almost like contradictory words. What is like known as antithesis. There's one more word for it. Oxymoron, I think. There is these words, are like where they are contradictory to each other. So now we might wonder, is it just like poetic things that they're trying to express? We see this in many other things also. If you look at many verses in different texts, especially Vedantic texts, and some in Bhagavad Gita also, you will see that, some words sometimes are very contradictory to each other. So then we might wonder, why is it that they are using such contradictory words? Why is it that some words seem like saying one thing, and the other words saying something exactly opposite? So first things, there are two reasons why these contradictory words are used. Or maybe somebody wants to guess why these contradictory words are used.
Is it because Atman cannot be expressed in like words, forms, and all? Does using contradictory might be like something that is beyond, or like something like, that is only because
Correct. So that is one very good point, that Atman is beyond words and concepts and other things, cannot be explained through any kind of language. So then when you say contradictory things, the idea is to go beyond words, beyond thoughts. Okay, that is one good point. Anything else? Anybody else?
Contradictory here means it can be either this or that. It can take anything. It can become anything.
It can become anything. Correct. Yeah, that is also a good point. Yes. Yeah.
And also it is just to know the real thing. Actually, without knowing the darkness, we will not be able to understand the light. So to understand better.
Yeah, to understand better. Okay, that is also, when you give exact opposite, then you know that, okay, it is not this, it is not that, and so that you move beyond that. Yeah. Okay. So these are all good thoughts. So first, let me just say, okay, first thing, what's happening here is that concepts. See, the idea of concepts is what limits us. So when I say something is black, the mind tends to just register that, okay, it is this. So this is the nature of our limited mental perception, that we tend to label, we tend to box it things into something. So then the near nature of Atma is beyond words, beyond concepts. No concepts can ever come to exactly describing in precision the nature of consciousness, because it is the essence of everything, and yet it is beyond everything. So there where the mind comes to a point of almost like a exhaustion, then what happens? Then the nature of Atma gets revealed to one's own self, because it cannot be known through the mind. So, yatho vacho nivartante aprapre manasasaha, one of the things says, that nature of Paramatma or Atma cannot be known through speech, and the mind also cannot know that. So this is one technique many of them use. But actually here there is a deeper reason why this is used. So see the words like here, when you look at it, there is something which is demonstrated from a sense of relative level. Some truth we point out at a relative level. Like, what is relative truth? Meaning that if I see something, if I see that the sky is blue, and I say that the sky is blue, but now we know from science and all that the sky is not really blue. So what is it? Relative level, the sky looks blue, but yet from a deeper sense of understanding, the sky is not blue. So there is a relative reality and an ultimate reality. So when we use this kind of language, right, we realize that, okay, from a relative thing, this is true, but from a higher perspective, the opposite was also true. So that is one reason how it is used. So now let us look at these words in detail. So the word here, what we generally do is we take the Sanskrit words and we try to understand it a little better. So here, the first one is like, I won't go exactly in that order that is here, but anejat ekam. That ekam is mentioned here. So what is this ekam? That ekam is that Atma. So it is all this thing is going to be talking about that. That one thing it is going to be talked about. So when we say that one, like we say this one, that one, it is representing, it's almost like a pronoun, right? So the pronoun is denoting this Atma. So this thing is anejadekam. It doesn't move. It is motionless. It is free from any kind of movements. And it is immutable also, we can say. Then what else it is? He says, manaso javiyoho. It is faster than the mind. So something which can go faster than the mind. We know that the mind is very fast, right? They say the mind is the fastest thing. It is faster than light, because from here I can think of going to any place. I can think of going to Bangalore. I can think of going to Europe, America, anywhere, sitting here in India. So that mind can travel so fast. But this Atma is faster than that. But how can it be faster if it is not moving? So which we will look at it later. So, but the concepts are this: it doesn't move, but it is faster than even the mind. My meaning, it is faster than the fastest thing that we know of. And then it says, Javiyo na janetad deva. What is this deva? Deva is generally taken as gods, but here it is not gods. That essence of the word deva comes from that which illumines, which shines. That, like gods, meaning this beings, which are what are they? They are luminous bodies, we say, right? So anything that lights up, what is it that lights up? So here it is taken, Chakracharya says we should take it in the context of senses. The senses lights up all the objects. Like if I want to see a pen, then my eyes are like light to this object. So Devaha. So this. So here, in reference to the senses, he is saying that even though that senses tried to look at something, it went even further from that senses. Tadhavato anyana thyeti. It is like it went faster than even the senses. Meaning, it was stationary. It didn't move anywhere. Like tishtat. Tishtat means stationary. That which is stationary, but yet it went faster. Purva aparshat. It went before even that senses and the mind could comprehend anything. Meaning, like if I see something, so this seems like if I am seeing some object, and let's say I'm sitting here and I see the ocean which is in front of me. So by the time my mind and senses look at that ocean, that Atma is already there. That consciousness is already there. How is it that Atma is already there? That Atma is the essence. It pervades everything. So it is already there, even before my eyes can see anything. And yet it is stationary. It is not like it moved from here to there. It was already there. So that is the idea. We will look at that concepts in detail. But that is the idea that is communicated. Tasmin apo matarishva dadati. So this requires a little understanding. Here the literal translation of the word matarishva. Matarishva is taken as vayu or air. The general kind of understanding of Matarishva. But Shankaracharya says when we take it as air, what it is representing is prana. So the prana is that essence of everything, right? Prana means energy. That one prana manifests in very different forms. There is a prana in our body, there is prana in the universe. So this prana is everything. And he goes on further to say what is the real prana of this world is, he says it is Hiranyagarbha, Sutratma. Because Sutra meaning that is like a thread. The thread that holds the whole world together is this prana, this energy. And this thing is this energy, and the apaha. Apaha means water. All the activities of all the beings is dadati, is sustained. So this Atma sustains all the activities of all the beings, and it is also the prana, energy, the essence, the very life of everything. We call the Hiranyagarbha as that Shakti, the two Shakti that is prevalent in the whole of the sustenance of this universe. It is called as Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. Jnana Shakti is that power to know, that power to comprehend, realize, have any kind of thought, intention. That is all Jnana Shakti. Kriya Shakti, that power to act, to do anything. So okay. Now the next mantra is very similar, so we will take that up also together. Tadejati tannejati. So the same idea here. It moves, but it doesn't move. So that Atma is moving, meaning how does it move, how doesn't it move? We will look at it again. And then Tadure Tadvantike, it is very far, but yet it is so close. It is closer than the closest, and yet it is farther than the farthest. Tadantarasya sarvasya, it is within everyone. It is a being of everyone. It is the essence of everyone. So it is the most internal thing. It is more inner than antakarana. Antakarana is that inner mental working instruments. It is more internal than the antakarana. Antakarana, what all is there in antakarana? Anybody remembers?
Manasu, buddhi, shakti.
Chitta.
Manas, buddhi, chitta. Then one
Ahankara.
more.
Ahankara.
Ahankara. Mano, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. This is if we even look from a little bit psychological angle, we find in all this, we have memory, we have thoughts, we have intellect, like the decision power, and we have the ego, the sense of I-ness. So all this is like psychologically also we can somewhat realize. But this Atma is even more internal than that, even more than the ego. And Tadu Sarvasya Bhavyataha, it is also outside. How can that be outside? How can that be inside? So this question is comes now. So now I'll just read a little bit here of the Shankar Bhashya to actually help us interpret that. So the question is asked, like one of the persons asked that, how can there be such contradictory statement that it is, he takes this one thing, it is internal and it is external. Katham virudya muchyate dhruvam nischalamidam manaso javiyo iticha. How can the Upanishad say like this, that it moves but it doesn't move? So then here Shankaracharya helps us to understand how we should interpret this. So he says that nirupadi upadi matvena upapattehe tatra nirupadikena svena rupena uchyate anejadekam iti manaso antakaranasya sankalpa vikalpa lakshanasya upadher anuvartanadi nidiha dehastasya manaso Brahmalokadi dura agamanam sankalpena kshanamatrena bhavata iti ityatyato manaso javishtatvam loka prasiddham. So he gives a very interesting way to understand it. What he says is that when we say it is moving, how are we saying it is moving? He says it is because of the upadhi. It is in relation to the upadhi we say it is moving. What is upadhi? Does somebody know now? What is it? What is meant by upadhi?
Limiting adjunct.
Limiting adjunct. So meaning that something that limits us, something that when you identify with that identification limits it. So like that Atma, when it gets identified with the body and the mind especially, it becomes limited. So he says that in sense of upadhi, when we take it from the context of upadhi, then what happens? This Atma becomes limited, or we can also say it becomes like a manifested, or it becomes like a condition. It becomes a conditioned entity. Meaning that I am so and so. We all say, like if I ask you who you are, you will say your name or your role or your nationality. So that is all the limiting adjuncts we have taken, right? So in relation to the relative thing, the Atma is moving. How is it moving? When I say that I was there yesterday, I was yesterday in let's say, for example, I flew from Delhi. I say yesterday I was in Delhi, today I'm in Rishikesh. So I have moved, I say, right? I will not say like, the body has moved. So generally, when we talk, we say I have moved. So when we take that concept, that Atma has moved. That sense of I, which that Atma is identified with, has moved. But that Atma itself is Nirupadi. It has not moved. It was there It was always there. Where was it then? Was it in Delhi or was it in Rishikesh in this context? If we're saying it hasn't moved, where was it? Anybody?
Sarvatra.
Sarvatra, very good. It was everywhere. So here we take the ultimate reality. So this is where I was trying to explain, right? This contradiction is in relation to relative reality and ultimate reality. When we say relative reality, there is conditioning. So it is true I moved from Delhi to here. Actually, I didn't, but I'm just in this example. I moved from Delhi to here. Okay, but is it also true that I have not moved? So from the level of ultimate reality, that essence of me or I is everywhere. It is there in Delhi, it is there in Rishikesh, and it is there even in places I've not been to. So that is the essence how we say that I have moved, but I have not moved. So from the context of relative reality, what happens? There is a whole creation, that story of our life is there. I say that I was a child and today I am an adult. I was 50, 60, some 50, 60s or something. I was 10. So whatever that aging process that happened, right? So that is in relation to that body. But that sense of I-ness has always been there. So I can say that I have grown up, but I'm always the same. So this is where that relative truth is also there and the ultimate truth is also there. But in the ultimate sense, when we look at it, from when we come to knowledge, there is only the ultimate truth. So for the sake of explanation now, the relative truth is also correct. But in reality, that all those things we start taking is we take only the ultimate truth. So then what happens? There is no moment at all. That is the ultimate truth. But from a relative context, we can also take this one. So then the other point that he brings up is, like the example he gives is that this, which I read out, Sankalpa Vikalpa. What is the nature of the mind? The mind, which is the nature of the mind is it makes a decision and then it doubts that decision. Like I have one thought today and I have another thought today. So this is what happens. This is the movement of the mind. The mind seems to be moving. So then what happens? It can move in a single moment to the place of Brahma. Like I think of, of course, you have to have a concept of what is Brahma Loka. But let's say, for example, some place we think of, we know, we scientifically, we know these days of some planet, Mars or moon or somewhere. So the moment we think of it, we almost feel like, okay, there the mind has gone. So, but the moment that the mind travels there to that space, what happens when it arrives there? That nature of I have arrived. How do we know? Because that I is already there. That sense of I-ness is already there in moon. Then only I can say I have arrived. So the sense of even for thought, for me to have a thought of something, the essence of that thought is that thing, that I-ness. So here we get almost like a 4 concepts we get of Atma. What are these 4 concepts? The first concept is that the Atma is the foundation through which all that knowing has happened. Everything, whatever I can think of, I can conceive of, that what is the foundation of everything, that is the Atma. It is the basis through which anything is known. Then the other thing of Atma is that it is not subject to any vikara, meaning that all the changes, but yet with the sense of upadhi, there is a sense of change. So I have the thing that I was young, I grew up, I became an adult, and now I'm getting old. So all this thing that is happening, it is because that there is a changeless entity, that change is not. So this is, like anything we see, right? Like if we are, if you see a plant growing, So you see a small plant, a seed has been put, and then the next few days later you come back, that little flower has come. So what happened between that point where it was small to that thing it became big? That change has happened. But how do you know the change? Because you were there. You saw that it in a small thing, and you saw it in a big thing. I mean, you saw that it has grown. Huh? So this is that second point also that has come. Huh? Then the other thing is that there is that knowingness is there, that bodhitavyam we say. Huh? That thing which was not known before, you get to know, or that thing that which was in one state, now you know it to be in another state. So that sense of bodhitavya, that one also of atma is that one also is known because of that atma. And then there is a sagunatvam. Sagunatvam is that there is an attribute to everything. So for something to change, so if change, we talk about it, there is 6 modifications that happens, right? So in each one there is guna. The guna, like generally when we talk of guna, we say that there are 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. But guna can be any flavor, any attribute that we give to things. That atma has to be nirguna in order to realize that sagunatva. So the real essence of atma is at nirgunatvam. But because there is nirgunatvam, that sagunatvam can manifest from it. So these are the different attributes that is being pointed out. I mean, these are the different qualities, or the even qualities is not the right word, but these are the different manifestations of atma, because of which all this changes is being manifested, is being known. Now the next point here is that, like, for it is one thing we say is, now we were talking of change, right? So there's a little difference when we talk about change. In a general worldly sense, change is almost like either like a evolutionary process, or something that is like a like a graph which is moving in one direction, either up or down. But in general Vedic and Hindu context, we can say, or Sanatana Dharma context, change is always represented like in a cyclical way. So what do we mean by this cyclical thing is that in the relative world, every change is always cyclical, meaning like the traditional Vedic thing is that which is born will die. This is a normal human thing. Everybody, even science will say that, right? Like everything in creature, in every living being who is born will die. But the Vedic thing is different. That which is born will die and will be reborn. So this is like a cyclical process of life. And the nature, that prakriti or whatever we take off, right? So the whole of evolution. So this is where, like if somebody doesn't, if for someone of, and they have experienced some death in the family and they don't know about Vedanta and all that. So you can't directly, when somebody has experienced death, you cannot go and tell them, right? Oh, don't worry, they are eternal, because they are grieving, right? You need to give them a assurance. So what is the common Indian way, or the way of giving assurance, is that don't worry, they'll be reborn somewhere else. They will go to a better life somewhere else. So what is the idea with this is that what has died is going to be reborn somewhere, or that which has died will go on somewhere else. And even in terms of the Pancha Mahabhuta, it is the same. All the 5 elements of the body, which when a body dies, it will manifest somewhere else, right? So this process is underlying in the relative reality also. So then there is one more thing that has come out in this, that what we say as Atma, right? So from a context of Atma, what happens is, as we saw that word, there is ekatvam in that Atma, meaning that Atma generally what we say of, like like I was asking you, right? Like, how is it possible that I was in Delhi and I was here? Does it mean that I was in Delhi and I moved here and I was already here? No, that ekatvam is there. There is only one Atma. This somebody had asked one time. So the Vedantic thing is not like, that there are so many Atmas. Like when we take of Yoga and Sankhya, they take that there are many Purushas. Every Purusha is different. And this is a very conflicting thing that happens in many Indian darshanas also. Especially the Dvaita darshanas also. They try, many Dvaita darshana, they tend to take that essence of Sankhya and Yoga philosophy. So they say that this that their argument is that like if I realize, I become self-realized. Everyone doesn't become self-realized. How can we say that there is one Atma? So they say there has to be many Atmas, because if I am free from bondage, then everybody else is still in bondage, right? So there is no one Atma. So that is their argument. But Vedanta is not like that. In Vedanta, what we are saying is that the essence of beingness, the essence of consciousness, whether it is you or everyone, that essence is the same. But that intellect is different. That intellect, meaning that antakarana, that samskara, that sukshma sharira, what we say, that subtle bodies. That subtle bodies can be many. So there are so many subtle bodies, but the essence of all of them is that one consciousness. So when somebody gets realized, then they even disown that subtle body. That person does become that one consciousness. So from that state of one consciousness, there is no relative world. Okay, so this is the fundamental philosophical difference. And in fact, if you look at most religions, they take that thing, what we call as souls. Many souls they talk about. The understanding when we say it, so we are all individual souls and we are all on a journey of life. So in that translation of soul is not Atma from a Vedantic context. We cannot use that sense of that verbiage. Partly because when we say that soul is Atma, then that soul is subject again to transmigration. So that is why we generally use the word self rather than the soul. That self is one, and sometimes represented with that uppercase or the capital S. So that one self is the essence of all our being. So the jnani or that realized person realizes that he is that self. He is that pure beingness. Okay, then just that is we will go a little deeper in the Bhashya. So this point which we discussed, about Matharishwa, which came, which is where Shankaracharya says that movement of air, and then that Apa is water. So he has given a translation which is a little seemingly not standard translation, where he equates that Vayu, that air, to prana and ultimately to Hiranyagarbha. So Hiranyagarbha has, some of you might already know what we talk about, why he gives that the essence of everybody he's taken as the Hiranyagarbha. So when we talk about Hiranyagarbha, what is it that we are representing? Like in terms of the individual, what does the Hiranyagarbha represent? Anybody remembers? Yeah, Michael.
I mean, is it the dream state?
So yeah. So from a Mandukya sense, it is a dream state, but the Hiranyagarbha is not the individual dream state, right? Remember, even in Mandukya?
It is a collective, collective knowledge or collective
Collective
where
consciousness.
all the minds connect to Hiranyagarbha.
Oh, correct. That is right. We can say all the minds or all the intellects connect to Hiranyagarbha. So this is, it is a total intellect or total mind, we can say. So that total mind, meaning that one mind which we say is the essence of all the minds. So like see when we say Atma, there's a little difference when we say that one consciousness and one mind. When we say one consciousness, we are talking about Atma or Paramatma. But when we say one mind, like sometimes, this is because, when if we are reading other philosophies or if we are reading other things, sometimes people translate as one mind. So maybe they are meaning one consciousness in a deeper way. Like especially in many Buddhist language, you will find one mind. So from our literal translation of one mind, what we are talking about is Hiranyagarbha, which is that mind which controls or which is the basis. It is a universal mind. So that is a literal translation in Vedanta. But sometimes in some Buddhist texts also, when they talk about one mind, they may be talking of consciousness also. So we have to see the context and then decide. But in our things, the Hiranyagarbha is that one mind or one consciousness. So in that one mind, there are two Shaktis, the two forces, that energy we say, that the essence of energy, like when, those of us who do the energy practices and all, right? When we experience the universal mind in that state of samadhi, so what we are experiencing really in that sense is that Hiranyagarbha's mind, that universal mind. In that Hiranyagarbha's mind, everything is known. The past, the future, everything is known. But that is not mukti. That doesn't lead to liberation. That is only a sense of a higher, purer identification, but it will not free us and it should not be our goal ultimately. So that is the point. Because from a yogic point, that is the goal. That is the goal, but it is not the goal. So is it also Samanya Chaitanya? So the intellect and the Chaitanya, so we have to know the difference. So what we call as Samanya Chaitanya, that one essence of Samanya, meaning that common or universal consciousness, that is that Atma which we are talking about. That is the Paramatma. So the Paramatma is the one universal consciousness. So now, when the best example for this is like if you think of the that ocean, when you look at that ocean, right? That essence of that ocean seems to be that one vast ocean. But and from that vast ocean, all these waves are coming, right? But if you really look at it, like from that ocean, the waves are coming. The waves represent the individuals, right? If we take it as a waves as the individual, and then we say all these waves are connected to that ocean. So the ocean is a total of all the waves. So, and now there is one more aspect here. So the first, in this context, when we talk of the ocean, are we talking of what I called as Hiranyagarbha, the total intellect, or is it consciousness? Like, see, the ocean is made of several waves, right? Ocean is made of billions of waves. So if we take these waves as individuals, every individual, and the ocean is that sum total of all these waves put together, or all. So now, do we take this ocean as the Hiranyagarbha, the total intellect, or is it the consciousness?
Is the consciousness.
Consciousness.
Hiranyagarbha.
Hiranyagarbha. Okay. Let me see. Why is it Hiranyagarbha? Somebody saying. Yeah.
It's a total of all waves.
Correct. It is a total of all waves. See, this is where, like I explained this, that Samanya Chaitanya, in order to understand this, right? What Samanya Chaitanya is not, is it is not a total of all the waves. So when we say the total of all the waves, the idea we get is something large and big, which accommodates everything. But the reality of what we call as Chaitanya, consciousness, or Samanya Chaitanya, in this example is the water. In this example, that water is the essence of the wave and the water is the essence of the ocean also. So that water is Samanya, meaning that water is common. The water is that essence of both the waves and of the ocean. But in terms of big and small, when we do, then what happens, that wave is just a small thing and the ocean is a big thing. So Atma and Paramatma are not like that. When we talk about me and God, it is not like I am small and God is big from a consciousness perspective. From a what do you call, a upadhi perspective, God is big and I am small. From a conditioned perspective, but from a consciousness essence perspective, me and God, it's not big and small relationship. So what is the relation from Vedanta between me and God? Is it like I am small and God is big? Or what is the correct relation between me and God?
Vishesha Chaitanya.
No, relation. What is the relation? Let's say, what is how do I say my relation to God? Would I say I am small and God is big?
No, I am part of God.
I'm part of God, okay.
Me and God are of the same essence.
It is Tattvamasi.
Yeah, Tattvamasi. Me and God are of the same essence. The essence of God and me are the same. So that is what all the Mahavakyas are telling us, right? All the Mahavakyas are saying that essence of me and God is the same. So now when we look at it from a more like a Dvaita perspective, we are talking of conditioned upadhis. From a sense of upadhi, I am small and God is big. So that is why Hanuman says, right? Deha buddhya dasosmi, jiva buddhya tadamshakam. As somebody was saying, when I have that feeling that I am the jiva and God is that Paramatma, then I am a part of God. But from that sense of consciousness, I and God are the same. The essence of both of us is the same. And that is the Samanya Chaitanya.
I just have a quick translation question with respect to, you said from a Sanskrit to English, you wouldn't say that Atman translates as soul, it would translate better as self. Would jiva translate better into soul?
Very good. Yeah, that is generally what we take. So we don't generally also use the word jiva by itself, except when it is in text. The general word that is used is jivatma. So when we say jivatma, we can refer to the soul, because there that self is conditioned or identified with that subtle body. So that is the soul. That's probably the best translation, correlation with soul, jivatma.
And again, you're saying that that's more or less synonymous with the what is the sukshma sarira, the subtle body?
Yeah, sukshma sharira. Okay, so if you put it that way, then the jiva would be the sukshma sharira, and the jivatma would be the jivatma would be that what we can say as the soul. So the jiva generally, when we talk about jiva, the jiva, if it is identified with the gross body, then that would be the gross body identification. That same soul that is encased in the body at that time.
Okay.
So when that soul is not encased in the body, meaning it is free from the body, just by itself, it is called as that. When we talk about it, it will be the sukshma sharira.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The jivatma is a general word which we talk about. So in that sense also, when we talk about the Paramatma, then we call as, sometimes it is called it is the oversoul or something, the great soul, great being. Shamlaji, your question you had at that time, right? About Atma being one. I never got to that, but is this clear now? What we discussed?
Yes, Swamiji, it is clear. So Atma cannot be cut or anything, nothing can be done with Atma, right? Then how did he enclose? Atma is enclosed inside the body, I was thinking. Now it is clear.
Yeah. So the general notion, even like, that thing came, it is inside the body, it is also not accurate as such. That Atma is not inside the body also. That body is in Atma, if you really take it in a bigger way, in a proper way, that consciousness is the one essence reality, because it is that the realities are different. See, this is where, when we look at it from a physical point, the reality seems like there is a relative reality, there's all these bodies. So where do I put Atma here? Is it here, here? So we can never say that Atma is here or here at that relative level. So, but from an ultimate level of reality, that Atma is only reality. The body is not even real from that context. So there are two realities. Realities meaning that two sattas. That I experience one reality, and in that reality I cannot find that Atma. So wherever I search, I will not find that Atma, because it is not encased in something.
Then in that case, this upadhi, wherever we refer to upadhi, that limiting identification is just ajnana. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Correct. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Okay.
So the upadhi is nothing but a manifestation of ajnana. When we are ignorant, we perceive that I am this bodied person. I am in the body. I am so and so. So it is because of ignorance that I am in the body, kind of that kind of identification comes. Yeah.
Guruji, I just had a question on that analogy that you shared about the ocean.
Yeah.
So Hiranyagarbha is the culmination of all the waves, if I compare.
Yes.
Is that correct? My understanding?
Yeah, Hiranyagarbha in this example is all the waves put together. So all the waves put together is Hiranyagarbha. So that was your question, right?
Yes, and the water is the Brahman.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So in this context, of course, these examples are always going to be limited in being able to exactly articulate. But if you take this example, the water is the essence of both the waves and the ocean, right? So the water is not like, we don't say the water is the collective of all the waves. We don't say like that, right? We can say that the ocean is the collective of all the waves and all other things also besides waves. Waves and other things make the ocean, we can say. But it is not like that with water. Water is the essence of wave. Water is the essence of ocean. So this context, what happens, we say that consciousness is the essence of the individual, consciousness is the essence of God, or that great being, that Hiranyagarbha, or whatever, that big being,
Okay.
So this is where it differs from the normal religious context, where we say that God is everything, that all of us put together is God, we say, right? Like even in Bhagavad Gita, when we talk of Vishwarupa Darshan, what is that? There, every form is represented in that Bhagwan. So there again, it is a Vishwarupa Darshan. Vishwa is that physical, highest physical reality. That it is not the Chaitanya, that darshan. That darshan is possible from a yogic point. So that is why Arjuna was given that yogic eyes to see that God. That is possible to experience that. But in the real context of seeing, it is not, we go beyond religion version of God.
Yeah, but Swamiji, so my understanding, just to negate the difference between the Atma, Paramatma, and consciousness, is it right in thinking that it is if you see it in this world, two things will give rise to a third thing. two things like if you two atoms together will give rise to a molecule. Two living beings will give rise to another third living being. So how can two atmas combine together and give rise to another third atma? So it is somehow it is contradicting, or it is beyond my understanding. That's one thing. So everything is happening within the consciousness, and it is continuous. More than the change is there, the change is continuous, and it is also the continuity is existing always. So there is we can negate that there is Atma and Paramatma, or these are two different things. Maybe my articulation, I'm not putting it right, but I guess you understood what I'm saying.
Yeah. So the first one where you mentioned, two atmas give rise to another atma. So that is not literally true. Why? Because atma, we say, is never born and never dies.
Correct. From a Vedanta perspective, but from other
correct. Yeah. So that is where that what is coming into life. What is coming into life is just that that what we were talking about, that jiva, that see the two jivas, if you talk about it, can come together and can bring forth another jiva, but there also that jiva is not created so much. It is just that what we talk about, atoms and bodies and all that, these are the physical manifestations, but because of its connection with that Hiranyagarbha, that context of Hiranyagarbha, that life comes in that prana shakti, what we call as prana, so that prana is actually the essence that comes in. So that consciousness is always there. For consciousness, there is no birth and that death. So but then again, now when we talk about Atma and Paramatma, like the context again here is not so much like where is how do we define as two different entities. That two different entities, that's just names that are used for Atma and Paramatma. These are all like where, again, when we understand that really nothing has ever happens from that Vedantic perspective, from the consciousness perspective.
This is exactly what I was trying to say, because when the two things give rise to a third thing, and the two things die eventually, when it dies, it will go to where where it belongs to. It is the consciousness again. There's a continuity is there. Two things is giving rise to a third thing, and the third thing is giving rise to a fourth thing. It is a continuous activity which is happening within the consciousness.
Yeah,
these are not different from the consciousness itself.
Yes, these are not different from consciousness itself. Correct. Yeah.
Because the analogy of ocean, that is there in my mind for a long time. So when the when the wave dies, when the wave hits the shore and it dies, go back and mix with the
correct. Yeah. So yes. So that is why we say, change is the only constant thing, we say, right? See, these are words that are sometimes used, right? Change is the only constant thing. So we are saying then that what is that constant which we are referring to in that change is that thing which has died, or whatever, as you said, the wave has died. So it is not like it has really died. It has gone back into that process of change. So that adhisthana, we say, because there is that essence of that constant, something exists as a substratum. That constant flow of change is possible because there is a substratum. Okay, thank you. Namaste.